The trigger for white rage inevitably is black advancement. That's the part I gotta keep. What pisses white people off is your advancement. You succeeding. Somebody said, prove it more, Vicky. How many of you all know that because we were the only builders of America, because America only exists because of black folks' intellectual prowess and our free labor to manifest it. White folks, when we were freed, we knew how to build our own towns. We had all of the major industries and businesses because we was the one that was building and doing everything in the first place. White folks did not work. White folks stole work. So that's the reason why you don't never let them throw you into no trick bag by telling you black folks are lazy. White folks, you have never, ever, you became outraged when you had to start working. And that's when y'all start corrupting the unions. You was pissed because your destiny you thought was never to have to work. You understand?
I think white people are so triggered by black joy because they have zero control over it. And white people are all about control. And anything they don't get to control and manage and dictate freaks them the hell out.
They don't get to be the leader.
And one of the things that became clear to me as I started thinking through how white rage works, it became clear to me that the presence of black people was not the trigger for white rage. There's that stun, almost what you talking about, Willis? Look. It is the presence of black people with ambition. The presence of black people with drive. The presence of black people with aspirations. The presence of black people who achieve. It's the presence of black people who refuse to accept their subjugation. The presence of black people who demand their rights. That's the trigger for white rage. And this society has therefore punished black resilience and black resolve.
White people being mad at black children dancing at graduation is linked to slavery. Because once upon a time, there was no black joy that was allowed. Like, especially back in slavery, like if they saw that, they would probably do horrible things, torture the slaves. And so there was none of that joy allowed. But now today, obviously, black children are allowed to express that kind of joy. But I think internally it makes some white people, uncomfortable because in their DNA, that shit wasn't allowed to happen. Like the slave owners weren't allowing the black people to, gather and celebrate and dance and have fun, when slavery was happening. But I'm just like, bitch, that has to be linked to slavery. Like, you can't be mad at children celebrating graduation and dancing for real. Like, it's not just that that's irritating you. It's something within that DNA that's irritating you and making you mad at black joy. And it's because there was a time where it wasn't allowed to be. And so racist people literally get uncomfortable when they see black people having joy because there was a time where their ancestors weren't allowing black people to have joy at all. And it makes them uncomfortable, I feel like, because it's like, y'all don't really got shit over there. And y'all see that we have all this shit over here together as a community, black people. And I feel like that just rubs y'all the wrong way. But clearly, that's linked to slavery to me. Like, what?
Family, have you ever noticed in America, any black advancement is met with white rage? History has shown us, over and over again, whenever black people rise, white rage follows. When we build thriving communities like the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, we saw what happened. The Black Wall Street was burnt down, to ashes. When we excel in sports, they call it unfair. When we dominate in education or business, they say diversity has gone too far. It's never about what we do. It's about who's doing it. And family, whenever there are any black advancements, whenever black people win, this is always being met with a lot of white rage. They think, that black people, being a minority, should not do anything good in America. Whenever black advancements come, white rage, follows immediately. So family, I want you to watch this video all the way to the end as many people try to debunk this fact and explain why a lot of black advancements are met with white rage. Once the video is done, we will get back and do a critical analysis about the same. And family, in a special way, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my subscribers who are supporting this channel by buying me a coffee. I do not take your support for granted. The link is on the description box down below. Let's watch the video. We'll be right back.
That's the trigger for white rage. And this society has therefore punished Black resilience and Black resolve. Now, at this point, this sounds like almost Scooby-Doo-ish, right? Because we know it's so counterintuitive, because we think of the US, America, as the land of opportunity, right? And so all you've got to do is work hard, yes. And I'm telling you, y'all know the hymn, right? So my baritones here. Right? We know the hymn. We don't even have to pull out the book. It is in the ether. It's in the cultural language that we understand how this nation works. But so what happens if you have a series of policies that in fact punish Black achievement, Black aspiration? And it sounds counterintuitive, but how else can you explain how government after government after government has worked so hard to see to it that Black children do not get a quality education? Let me give you a couple of examples. In 1947, in Prince Edward County, Virginia, the school board finally agreed to build a high school for the Black children. Because remember, this is a completely segregated system, Jim Crowed. And so in 47, that would be after the US helped defeat the Nazis. I need to put that in its time frame. Then we get a high school for Black children in Prince Edward County. Within a few years, that school is bursting at the seams. 2 to 3 times as many children are in this space than that building can hold. And so the Black parents are going to the school board, the all-white school board, saying, we need an additional school. We've got kids bursting at the seam. It's doggone near impossible for them to learn sitting one on top of the other like that. We need a new building. The school board was like, no. And the parents are pushing hard, unrelenting, demanding education for their children. And the school board finally relented and put up 3 tar paper shacks and said, your kids can go there. Now, meanwhile, the white school is nice brick with indoor plumbing, which is not available in the Black high school. By this time, we're in 1951. So there was a young woman, Barbara Johns, 17. And Barbara Johns was like, my name is the wrong one. You gonna take this? You gonna take this? No, you're not taking this. You gonna take this? Yeah, you're like, no, we're gonna walk on out of here, aren't we? And she starts organizing that school for a massive walkout, a massive demonstration, saying, we're not having this. We're not having it. They rose up and boom, hit the door. Administrators were like, what just happened here? And they were like, yeah, yeah. Now, she wasn't playing. And so the death threats started coming in on this 17-year-old child who was demanding quality education. It was so bad that her parents had to spirit her away to safety to Alabama. Boom, I rest my case. You know, when you got to go to Alabama for safety in 1951. Woo! Woo! Meanwhile, Prince Edward County becomes one of the school districts that's bundled into the Brown case. Now, when Brown came down, Prince Edward County said, oh, I got something real for you. And so what the town fathers working with the state legislature decided to do was to shut down the entire public school system. Because that way, if we've got to have equal schools, then black children and white children equally do not have access to a public school. And you can almost hear the "aren't I smart" written on them. Except, so black parents are like, what? But they're not listening to black parents. White parents are like, what? And they're like, oh, no, we got this. We're not going to let your white babies go uneducated. You know that. And so what they have done is that they have set up taxpayer-funded vouchers to pay for the tuition for white children to go to all white segregated private academies. So white children continue to be educated, and there is absolutely nothing for black children. Thousands upon thousands of black children.
Being black and upper class has in no way been a persecution for me. It has, however, been a front row seat to a kind of white rage that affects everyone, no matter what social, racial category you slot into in society. This rage flies under the radar, it's made invisible, it's been around for a long time, it runs on the same economic, political playbook that it has since the end of the Civil War, and it's hurting all of you. All of you. Unless you're Jeff Bezos, but that's not you. A very small example of this is a couple of years back, I was all dressed up with black and white cousins. We're all dressed up. There's a good group of us, maybe 12, and we're going to the symphony. This symphony is manned by tons of volunteers, right? People who want to help you, people who are excited to see young people come to the symphony. And we get there and I've got my 8 or 9 tickets all connected. And this older white woman, member of my community, is doing the scanning. I can tell from the get-go, she doesn't really want to help me. She's peeved. And I'm thinking, why? I've got this huge group of people coming in. Like, this is a win for the local community symphony. So she scans all my tickets, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She gets to the 8th or 9th one. I don't remember how many exactly we had. It doesn't beep. Now, mind you, I had to pick up these tickets at will call with an ID, with my name. And she knows this because she's a volunteer before I come to her. She scans the last ticket that has the symphony's name on it. I mean, it's got all the official stuff. And she explodes with this quiet anger and this total frustration. Like, she's just like, she knew it. She knew I was a thief. And she loudly, in front of everybody, accuses me basically of stealing a ticket and attaching it to the legitimate tickets, which is how you should do crime. Now, that's a ridiculous thing. We sorted it out. We found out that yes, while she was following the rules as to what to do if I guess a thief comes and attaches a fake ticket to a bunch of real tickets, she did not know how to use her scanner properly. But instead of having customer service, instead of thinking about how one should approach this, she responded with the anger that was already inside of her. She'd already assumed and knew that this kind of place was not for people like us. And she didn't want to have to let us in. And if she could get us out on a technicality, on a quiet rule, and she threw up her hands, I can't help you, I can't do anything, she would. That is a very tiny, low stakes example of the work Carol Anderson, as a historian, has done in looking at the documented and demonstrated examples of rulemaking and code making that certain people in higher classes have used to quietly make sure that lower class whites and black people with wealth cannot get ahead. When Carol Anderson decided to write White Rage, it had come after she had been asked for the Washington Post to write an op-ed in the wake of August 2014 when the Black Lives Matter riots were exploding. Her critique was that we were looking at black rage. We were looking at physical anger, destruction of property, all those different things. And she was making it very clear in that first essay and then in her book that you can't understand this rage unless you understand the other kind of rage. That's the rage that uses your political power, your legal power, to write laws and little caveats into things to make sure that you undermine the wealth of people believed to be Black, and you make sure that people who are believed to be white, who are in lower classes, never politically come together with those people. Now, who does that cost? It costs the democracy, and it costs all sorts of other classes that aren't in the ruling class. Because what they're doing is you're undermining, as she shows in her book, you're undermining voting rights. You're undermining this ability for the lower classes to look at each other and go, hey, our taxes should be going toward X, Y, and Z. Carol's research, I should say Miss Anderson's research, is an invitation to look at the kind of responses that have legally always existed to the advancement of Black people or the advancement of lower classes coming together and saying, this is how we would like to be treated. She's making it clear that if we don't look at the playbook, we're going to miss it in today's age. It's not something that happened back then. It's something that's happening now. We're going to be looking at this work because there's going to come a point in time when you are trying to rightfully access something that is yours, and you're going to be told that if it is given to you or if you want it, it's probably because you stole it or you shouldn't have it. As a historian, she's making these brilliant connections about how this is an assault on Black middle class, but then you can go out and see it's also the middle class as a whole. It's really important that we contextually understand our history because we're all bound up together, and all of our lives and our pursuit of happiness and liberty, it's connected. And there are reasons that people don't want you to understand that, because you become dangerous when you know that. You're less of a victim and you're more of a threat. So I'm excited to read this book. If you've read this book, if you finished it, if you know of any other things of Carol Anderson's that you just really particularly want to look at, please write in the comments.
This might be a controversial take, but I'm seeing a lot of queer white people posting shit like posting themselves being really happy and doing some random shit and being like, yeah, our joy is resistance. And like, in my opinion, white people's joy is not resistance. Like, queer or not, your joy is not resistance. Matter of fact, your joy is what got us here in the first place. Like, your joy is why we're having to resist. And like, y'all putting yourselves and finding yourselves and like your own joy in front of everybody else is what got us.
This woman just summed up the woke mindset perfectly. Their entire argument is, I'm not happy, so no one else should be happy. I don't have nice things, so no one else should have nice things. I don't have self-confidence, so other people should doubt their abilities as much as I doubt myself. It's just jealousy and resentment for people who are living happier and more fulfilling lives than they are. Instead of taking charge of their lives, finding joy and meaning in it, and maybe even taking inspiration from people who are happier than they are, they want to blame their issues on somebody else or something stupid like skin color, and tear other people down so they just don't have to feel as bad about themselves. So here's the thing, never feel guilty about living your best life, no matter your race, your sex, your sexual orientation, your nationality, or any other immutable characteristic. Just ignore these types of people and don't let their misery in their own life become your problem.
Child, I was on TikTok the other day, y'all, and I can't even remember the post, but baby, I went to those comments. Y'all gotta go to the comments. Sometimes it don't all the way be that post, it be the comments. So fast forward, I go down in the comments, and this person said, she just knows in her heart of hearts that Black success, Black excellence is a direct pipeline to white racism. And baby, I had to pause. I had to pause because y'all know it's true. Because nothing, and I mean nothing, pisses racist white folks off more than Black success. Baby, you can set your watch by it. The moment a Black person shines, here they come. And baby, they be big mad. Look around. Shador Sanders, drag. Jasmine Crockett, attack. Stacey Abrams, undermine. Barack and Michelle Obama, baby, they been long gone and they still catching hate over being overqualified. Meanwhile, Donnie and them ran up in the White House with resumes of a used car salesman. Baby, nepotism at its best. Underqualified ain't even the word. But when it's us, baby, they gonna twist that story, twist that narrative, and tie themselves in knots trying to convince the world that we don't belong. And why though? Because deep down inside, they know, baby, they could never. We've done more with less. We thrive in a system that is built for our demise. And baby, they could never. That's why their brain short circuits with rage. That's why their comments overflow with vitriol. And honestly, y'all, I love that for us. I do. Because every time that rage gets out of hand, it's proof that our excellence is undeniable. So happy Black History 365, y'all. Keep shining, keep winning, because our success will always expose their mediocrity. See y'all next time.
When we say to center Black joy, let me speak for myself. When I say to center Black joy, I say it for numerous reasons. Most importantly is to remind people that we are joy, that our joy should not be dismissed or disregarded or ignored for any reason. That's my main reason. Another reason, and this is not to dismiss, disregard, or deny the trauma that Black people have gone through and continue to go through, but when people focus on that trauma, especially white people, when they focus on that trauma and they don't have an action plan for how to heal that trauma, they find themselves stuck in, oh my God, I feel so bad for Black people. It must be so hard for you. You've been through so much. I can't imagine how bad that would be. Those are I statements. I can't believe how hard it is. I can't believe how much you've been through. I can't believe how much you go through. You can't, and you won't, and you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to as part of your work. You shouldn't have to as part of your decolonizing work. Taking on the trauma that we went through isn't the goal. It's to remove the trauma. So that's a big reason. It becomes very focused on your feelings and how you feel in response to our trauma. Another reason to center Black joy, especially if you're doing anti-racism and decolonizing work, is that some people will find themselves, if they don't have a trauma project to try and save, they're less interested. If they don't have something they think they can fix, they are less interested. If they don't have something that they feel that they can feel sorry for and then feel proud about for helping, then they lose interest. Anti-racism work and decolonizing work isn't about the discovery of Black joy. Black joy exists at all times. Black joy even exists in the midst of oppression. So if you're somebody that is working to be an anti-racist, an active anti-racist, if you're somebody that believes that you're an advocate, then you should want that joy to be celebrated that much more and not underneath the thumb of oppression, and that should be your focus. Black people don't need fixing. It's the systems that continuously and systemically oppress us that need fixing. Just some thoughts.
Family, why is it that there is a lot of rage when it comes to Black excellence? Why is there a lot of hate for Black people winning in America? Family, I have sat down, I have tried, to just get to understand, try to get into the roots of this issue, try to do my research and get to know why white people feel so bad when they see Black people advance in America. Family, historically, Black people were taken as slaves in America. You know, how Black people were introduced to America, the very foundation of America. America was built in the backs of Black folks. Black people were inferior people. They were slaves. And family, white people seeing Black advancements today from a people who came as slaves is just making them go nuts. They do not believe that our people who have faced systemic injustices over the years are still being able to become billionaires. These same people are being able to thrive in the music industry. When you look at sports, you see these Black people still thriving. And family, this is not making a lot of people happy. Many white folks are questioning themselves. They want to understand how resilient are these Black people? How do they, manage? How are they able to thrive even after all these things that white America has tried to push to ensure that they remain to be inferior? Family, this is disturbing a lot of folks. Many people are asking questions. How are these people thriving? How are Black people being able, to even build up their own communities We saw what happened in 1921 in the Black Wall Street. They were not happy when black advancement started in a black-only community and they decided to take it down. Family, that is a perfect example that anytime black people advance, some folks are not happy. Family, there is a lot of rage when it comes to black people winning. They do not want to see black people have joy. Family, black joy is resistance to them. They do not want to see that. They want to ensure that black people continue to suffer in America. But family, that is impossible. Right now we have billionaires in dollars who are black people. We are seeing black people thrive in music, in sports, all over the world. Black people are enjoying life. Black people are becoming better and better people. And this again is not sitting well with a lot of white folks. See, black excellence is a mirror. It forces America to see what it tries to deny. That the people they once enslaved and oppressed are now leading in innovation, in culture and influence. You'd notice that anytime there are black innovations, white folks really try so hard to try and block this information from other people. Anytime there are any black innovations, they take the credit and say that was a white innovation. Look at it historically. Any innovation from a black person, talk about refrigerators that we use in our houses today, the lights we use in our houses, the telephones, the phones we use in our offices, Wi-Fi, name them, elevator doors. These are all black inventions, but they rarely want you to know about that. Because anytime a black folk makes advancement, it just makes them feel so jealous, and they feel so bad that these same people, who are nobody, are now thriving. They are making America even better. White rage isn't about fear of losing jobs, power, or culture. It's about insecurity, because black advancements exposes the lie that whiteness equals superiority. It shakes the foundation of their identity, built on myth of being better. So instead of celebrating progress, some white folks lash out. They pass laws to restrict education, silence black voices, or mock our confidence. That's not just racism, that's fragility. That's what many people call white fragility. And there's this scholar, Carol Anderson, took her time to explain this phenomenon. She says that anytime there is black advancement, anytime you see a black person smile, the message does not sit well with the white supremacist, with a white American who does not like to see black progress. They'll always be there. They'll always be happy when they see black men suffer. But anytime a black man, goes against the odds, it now brings up a whole issue. Look around. You see it today too. Black students winning scholarships, athletes breaking records, tech entrepreneurs making millions, and suddenly the comment sections are filled with hate. They say race shouldn't matter, but it only doesn't matter when black people win. That's a statement that we noticed so far. When anytime a black person wins, they say race does not matter. Family, just imagine if a black country wins the World Cup in future. The headlines would be crazy. Many white folks are not happy when they see any black advancements. Every time we level up, the system panics because it was never built for us to succeed. The system was never made, for black people to thrive in it. But there is the thing. They can't stop us anymore. Every time they try to suppress us, we rise higher. Black excellence is not arrogance, it's survival. It's our way of saying, you tried to bury us, but we are the roots of civilization itself. White rage can scream all it wants, but black brilliance will always shine brighter. Because what's destined by God cannot be stopped by man. Whatever is destined by God cannot be stopped with no one. When black people were meant to win, Their win is theirs. Nobody can stop it, not even white folks who are in a position of power. We are seeing them having a lot of rage, and family, black folks won't stop winning in America. I bet on this. They'd rather continue with their rage, but black people must thrive. Black people must continue to advance. Black people must continue to win. You know, we are protected by God, and no human can threaten us. You know, if you feel this message, is a good message, it's a message of hope to our people as black folks, kindly like this video. You can comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about this video. Do you think a lot of white people around your neighborhood are jealous anytime they see you thrive as a black man? Do they ask you if that's really your car anytime you own, one of these expensive cars? We see historically in America, many police officers stopping black folks driving big machines, asking them if that's their car or if they've stolen it. Family, let me know how they treat you anytime you advance as a black person. Like the video so that it can be recommended to other YouTube users. Lastly, I'd really appreciate if you all took your time to subscribe to the channel. We are currently on the road to 50,000 subscribers. And fam, the goal of the channel has always been to talk about black stories, black history, and ensure we tell our stories our own way. Because if we give the white supremacists an opportunity to tell our stories, we all know what they've done historically. They've always whitewashed our story. So fam, like the video, share, and comment to support this black channel. Thank you so much, and see you all in our next episode. Goodbye for now.